Marcus Morrison looked out the small window of the transport ship and smiled. His wife Elena sat next to him, reading a book about alien plants. Their 15-year-old daughter Zoe was playing with Rex, their German shepherd dog. They were traveling to a new colony world where Marcus would build homes and Elena would study the local plant life. The family had been traveling for 3 weeks in the small ship. It was not fancy, but it was safe and comfortable. Rex seemed to like the ship too. The big dog spent most of his time lying near Zoe's feet or looking out the windows at the stars. Everything changed in one moment. Red lights started flashing all over the ship. A loud alarm began ringing. Marcus jumped up and ran to the control panel. The ship's computer was showing warnings in bright red letters. Something very large was coming toward them fast. "What's happening?" Elena asked. She put down her book and stood up. "I don't know," Marcus said. His hands moved quickly over the controls. "Something big is out there. The computer says it's a ship, but it's huge." Zoe picked up Rex and held him tight. The dog could sense danger. His ears were flat against his head and he was making a low, growling sound. The transport ship shook hard. Marcus fell against the wall. Elena grabbed onto a chair. Outside the window, they could see a massive dark shape blocking out the stars. The alien ship was bigger than anything they had ever seen. It looked like a giant metal creature with sharp edges and glowing red lights. "This is the Zilithian research vessel Torment," a cold voice said through the ship's speakers. The voice did not sound human. It was too perfect, too emotionless. "Your ship is now under our control. Do not try to escape, or we will destroy you." Marcus tried to send a message for help, but nothing worked. The alien ship had taken control of everything. Their small transport was being pulled inside the huge vessel, like a fish caught in a net. "What do they want with us?" Zoe whispered. She was still holding Rex, who was now shaking. "I don't know, honey," Elena said. She tried to sound calm, but her voice was shaking too. "Maybe they just want to talk." But Marcus knew this was not going to be a friendly meeting. He had heard stories about the Zilithian Empire. They were a race of aliens who thought they were better than everyone else in the galaxy. They took other species for experiments and never let them go. The transport ship landed inside the alien vessel with a loud crash. The lights went out for a moment, then came back on. Through the windows, they could see they were in a huge metal room filled with strange machines and glowing tubes. Heavy footsteps echoed outside their ship. The door opened with a hiss of air. 3 tall figures in dark armor walked in. They had long, thin faces with gray skin and black eyes that seemed too big for their heads. Their hands had 6 fingers each, and those fingers ended in sharp claws. The leader of the aliens looked at the family like they were insects. He held a small device that glowed blue. "I am Commander Vex Hal," the alien said in that same cold voice. "You are now subjects of the Zilithian Empire. You will come with us." "We're just colonists," Marcus said, stepping forward. "We haven't done anything wrong. We were just traveling to a new world." Commander Vexhal made a sound that might have been laughing, but it was not friendly. "Wrong? You exist. That is enough. We have need of your species for our research." 2 more aliens came into the ship. They carried strange weapons that hummed with energy. Rex barked at them and tried to protect Zoe. But one of the aliens pointed his weapon at the dog. "No!" Zoe cried. "Don't hurt him." "The animal comes too," Commander Vexhal said. "Our subject requires variety in its diet." Elena felt her blood turn cold. "Subject? Diet? What are you talking about?" "You will learn soon enough," the commander said. "Take them to the holding cells." The aliens forced the family out of their ship. They walked through long hallways filled with strange lights and machines that made weird sounds. The walls were covered with screens showing pictures of different planets and alien creatures. Some of the pictures showed creatures that were clearly in pain. They passed other cells with clear walls. Inside, Marcus could see other alien beings. Some looked like large cats with blue fur. Others looked like walking trees with many arms. All of them looked scared and hopeless. "My God," Elena whispered when she saw them. "How many species have they captured?" "Silence," one of the guards said. His weapon made a warning sound. They reached a section with empty cells. The aliens pushed the family into one cell and locked the clear door. Rex was put in a separate cell next to them. The dog scratched at the clear wall, trying to get to Zoe. "Don't worry, Rex," Zoe called to him. "We'll find a way out of this." But Marcus was not so sure. The cell was small and made of some kind of clear metal that felt very strong. There were no windows and only one door. The only furniture was a small bench and a basic toilet. Commander Vex Hall stood outside their cell. "You will remain here until it is time for the feeding. Our subject has not eaten in several rotations. It will be quite hungry." "What subject?" Elena demanded. "What are you planning to do with us?" The alien commander smiled, showing sharp teeth. "We have acquired a magnificent predator from the death world of Xerion Prime. The creature is perfect for our studies of hunting behavior. We feed it different species to learn how it adapts its killing methods." "You're going to feed us to some monster?" Marcus felt his anger growing. He moved toward the door of the cell. "The Devourer is not a monster," Commander Vex Hall said. "It is a perfect killing machine, and you will help us understand exactly how perfect it is." "Please," Elena said. "We have a daughter. She's just a child." "Age makes no difference to the Devourer," the commander replied. "Fear, however, does make the hunt more interesting. The creature seems to enjoy prey that runs." Zoe started crying. Rex barked and scratched harder at his cell wall. Marcus put his arms around his wife and daughter. "We're going to get out of this," he told them quietly. "I promise." But as Commander Vexel walked away, Marcus wondered if he could keep that promise. They were alone on an alien ship, surrounded by creatures who saw them as nothing more than food for their pet monster. The family spent 2 days in the cell. The aliens brought them water and strange-tasting food that looked like gray paste. Rex got the same food, though he barely touched it. The dog seemed to know something terrible was coming. During those 2 days, Marcus and Elena watched through the clear walls as other prisoners were taken away. They never came back. Sometimes they could hear terrible roars coming from somewhere deep in the ship. The sounds made Zoe cover her ears and press close to her parents. On the 3rd morning, Commander Vex Hall returned. This time he brought 6 guards with him. "It is time," the commander announced. "The Devourer grows hungry, and our research continues." The guards opened the cell doors. Marcus tried to fight them, but their weapons made his muscles stop working. Elena grabbed Zoe's hand as they were forced out of the cells. Rex was pulled from his cage on a metal leash that sparked with electricity. They were taken through more hallways until they reached a massive door. It was at least 20 feet tall and covered with warning symbols in alien writing. The door opened slowly with a deep grinding sound. Beyond the door was the largest room Marcus had ever seen. It looked like they had put a piece of an alien world inside the ship. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. Strange purple trees grew everywhere. Their branches twisted into weird shapes. The ground was covered with black sand and sharp rocks that glowed with their own light. "Welcome to the testing arena," Commander Vexhall said. "This environment has been carefully designed to give the Devourer the best hunting conditions." Above them, Marcus could see a ring of windows where aliens were watching. They had cameras and recording equipment pointed down at the arena floor. Scientists were taking notes and talking in excited voices. The guards pushed the family forward into the arena. Rex was released from his leash and immediately ran to Zoe's side. The big dog's fur was standing up, and he was growling at the shadows between the alien trees. "You have provided the Devourer with many meals," Marcus said to Commander Vex Hall. "How long do we usually last?" The alien commander checked a device on his wrist. "Most species survive between 2 and 4 minutes. The record is held by a warrior race from the Andorian system. They lasted 7 minutes and 32 seconds. "And then what?" Elena asked. "Then the Devourer feeds," the commander said simply. "The creature is very efficient. Death is usually quick." The guards stepped back, and the massive door began to close. Soon the family was alone in the alien wilderness, with only the glowing rocks for light. "Stay together," Marcus whispered. "Whatever happens, We stay together. They moved slowly through the purple trees. The sand under their feet felt hot, and the air smelled like metal and something else they could not name. Rex stayed close to Zoe, his nose testing the air for danger. Elena stopped suddenly. "Do you hear that?" At first there was only silence. Then they heard it. Heavy footsteps. Something very large was moving through the trees toward them. With each step, the ground shook slightly. "This way," Marcus said, pointing toward a group of large rocks. "We need cover." They ran as quietly as they could, but the footsteps were getting closer. Whatever was hunting them was fast, and it knew where they were. They reached the rocks just as something crashed through the trees behind them. Zoe looked back and gasped. Rex barked once, then went silent. The devourer was nothing like the monsters from Earth movies. It stood at least 20 feet tall on 4 thick legs that ended in claws the size of kitchen knives. Its body was covered in dark green scales that seemed to move on their own. Along its back were rows of sharp spines that glowed red in the darkness. But the worst part was its head. It had 4 eyes that burned like yellow fire, and a mouth full of crystal teeth. Acid dripped from its jaws and burned holes in the sand where it fell. When it roared, the sound was so loud that rocks fell from the ceiling high above. "Oh my God," Elena whispered. The creature looked around the arena with its 4 eyes. It sniffed the air with 2 large holes where its nose should be. Then it smiled. Somehow, seeing a monster smile was more terrifying than seeing it roar. The devourer began walking toward their hiding place. Each step made the ground shake. It was taking its time, like a cat playing with mice. "Dad, what do we do?" Zoe asked. Marcus looked around frantically. There had to be something they could use. The arena was designed to give the creature advantages, but there might be something the aliens had missed. "Elena, you studied alien life forms," he said quickly. "Look at how it moves. Look at its body." "What do you see?" Elena forced herself to study the monster as it got closer. "It's built like a hunter," she said. "But look at its eyes. They're not in the front of its head like most predators. They're on the sides. What does that mean? It might have blind spots. And see how it keeps its head tilted? It might not see well directly in front or directly behind." The devourer was now only 30 feet away. It could see them behind the rocks, but it was still moving slowly. It seemed to be enjoying their fear. Marcus spotted something useful. Scattered around the arena were pieces of metal and stone, probably left over from building the environment. He grabbed a sharp piece of metal that was about the size of a baseball bat. "When I say run," he told his family, "go to those trees on the left. Elena, look for more blind spots. Zoe, you and Rex stay behind us no matter what." "Dad, you can't fight that thing," Zoe said. "I'm not going to fight it," Marcus replied. "I'm going to distract it." The devourer was now only 20 feet away. It opened its massive mouth and roared again. The sound hit them like a physical force. "Now!" Marcus shouted. He jumped up and threw the piece of metal as hard as he could. It hit the creature in the side of the head and bounced off without doing any real damage. But it got the monster's attention. The family ran toward the trees. Rex barked at the creature, trying to draw it away from Zoe. The devourer turned to follow them, but it moved differently than they expected. Instead of charging straight at them, it circled around to cut off their escape. "It's smart," Elena said as they ran. "This isn't just a mindless beast." They reached the trees just as the devourer caught up with them. One of its massive claws swept through the air where Marcus had been standing a second before. The claws cut through a tree trunk like it was made of paper. Above them, the alien scientists were recording everything. Marcus could hear them talking excitedly. To them, this was just an experiment. The family was going to die so the aliens could learn about their monsters' hunting methods. But as they dodged between the trees, something strange happened. The devourer stopped chasing them. It stood still and tilted its massive head, listening to something they could not hear. Rex had stopped barking. The dog was standing very still, looking directly at the monster. But he was not growling anymore. His tail was not wagging, but it was not tucked between his legs either. Rex, Zoe called softly. The dog took a careful step toward the devourer. The massive creature lowered its head and looked at the small dog with its 4 burning eyes. For a moment, neither animal moved. Then something impossible happened. The devourer made a sound. It was not a roar or a growl. It was almost like a whimper. Like the sound a hurt animal makes when it wants help. Rex took another step forward. The monster did not attack. Rex walked slowly toward the massive creature. Marcus started to call him back, but Elena put her hand on his arm. "Wait," she whispered. "Look at its body language." The devourer had lowered itself closer to the ground. Its 4 eyes were still watching Rex, but the burning anger in them had changed to something else. Curiosity, maybe, or loneliness. "This doesn't make sense," Zoe said quietly. "Why isn't it attacking?" Above them, the alien scientists were talking loudly. Commander Vex Hal's voice came through speakers hidden in the arena. "The small creature is confusing the devourer," he said. "This behavior has not been recorded before. Continue monitoring." Rex was now only 10 feet from the monster. The dog sat down and made a soft whining sound. It was the same sound he made when he wanted attention or when someone was sad. The devourer tilted its massive head and made that strange whimpering sound again. This close, the family could see that the creature was covered in scars. Some were old, but many looked fresh. There were metal pieces stuck in its scales, and one of its spines was broken. "My God," Elena breathed. "Look at those wounds. This thing has been hurt. Badly." Marcus studied the creature more carefully. "Those aren't battle scars. They look like medical equipment. Like someone has been doing experiments on it." The devourer slowly reached one massive claw toward Rex. The dog did not run. Instead, he sniffed the claw carefully, then gently touched it with his nose. Something amazing happened. The creature's 4 eyes closed and it made a sound that was almost like purring. It was the sound of an animal that had not felt kindness in a very long time. "It's not a monster," Zoe said, understanding flooding her voice. "It's a prisoner, just like us." Elena took a careful step forward. "Rex has always been good with hurt animals," she said. "Remember when we found that injured cat? He knew it was in pain before we did." The devourer opened its eyes and looked at Elena. There was intelligence there. Real intelligence. Not just animal cunning. The creature was thinking, making decisions. "Hello," Elena said softly. "We're not going to hurt you." The creature made another soft sound. Then, very slowly, it moved away from Rex and lay down on the black sand. It was still huge, but somehow it seemed less frightening. Marcus noticed something else. There was a deep wound on the creature's side that was infected and bleeding. Green pus was coming from it. And the smell was terrible. "Elena, you have medical supplies in your pack," he said. "Do you think it might help?" Elena said. She had brought basic medical supplies for their new colony, but I don't know if human medicine will work on it. Above them, the aliens were getting upset. Commander Vex Hal was shouting orders. "The test is failing. Send in the stimulation rods. Force the creature to attack." Small doors opened in the arena walls. Alien guards came in carrying long metal poles that sparked with electricity. They moved toward the devourer, planning to shock it until it became angry again. The creature saw them coming and started to panic. It had been hurt by those rods before. Many times. It tried to stand up, but the infected wound made it cry out in pain. "No," Zoe shouted at the guards. "Leave it alone." Rex started barking at the aliens, trying to protect both Zoe and the creature. Marcus made a decision. He ran toward the nearest guard and tackled him before the alien could use the shock rod. Elena pulled her medical kit from her pack and moved toward the creature's wound. "It's okay," she told the devourer gently. "I want to help." The creature looked at her with its 4 eyes. It was clearly afraid, but it did not move away. Somehow, it understood that Elena was trying to help. Elena carefully cleaned the infected wound with antiseptic. The creature flinched, but stayed still. She applied antibiotic cream and wrapped the wound with clean bandages. It was strange, caring for something so large and dangerous. But Elena had always believed that all living things deserved compassion. While Elena worked, Marcus was fighting with the guards. More aliens were coming into the arena. Zoe and Rex stayed close to the creature, trying to protect it from the shock rods. The subjects are interfering with the test. Commander. Vexhal's voice boomed through the arena. Separate them immediately. That was when the impossible happened. The devourer stood up. But instead of attacking the family, it moved to protect them. It placed its massive body between them and the alien guards. When one guard tried to shock Zoe, the creature grabbed the rod with one claw and crushed it. The creature looked down at the family and made a series of different sounds. Not roars or growls, but something that sounded almost like language. Elena gasped. It's trying to communicate with us. That's impossible, Commander Vexhal said through the speakers. The devourer is a mindless predator. It cannot speak. But Zoe was listening carefully to the sounds the creature was making. She had always been good with animals, and she had studied animal communication in school. It's not random, she said excitedly. The sounds have patterns. It is trying to talk to us. The creature bent its massive head down toward Elena. Very gently, it touched the bandage she had put on its wound. Then it made more sounds. Softer this time. I think it's saying thank you, Elena whispered. Marcus was amazed. But the alien said it was just a predator from some death world. The creature heard him and made new sounds. These were different. Sadder. It pointed one claw at the windows where the alien scientists were watching. Then it made sounds that were clearly angry. I think it's trying to tell us something about them, Zoe said. About the aliens. Rex barked once and walked over to one of the broken shock rods. He sniffed it, then looked up at the creature and whined. The devourer nodded its massive head. It understood what Rex was showing them. It made more sounds and pointed at its scars. Then at the aliens above. Oh no, Elena said, understanding dawning on her face. They've been torturing it. For how long? The creature held up one claw and made counting sounds. Even though they could not understand the exact words, the meaning was clear. It had been a prisoner for a very long time. This is unacceptable, Commander Vexhal shouted. Guards, use the heavy stunners. Separate the subjects from the devourer immediately. More doors opened, and aliens with bigger weapons came into the arena. But now, the family was not alone. The devourer moved to stand over them, protecting them with its massive body. Rex barked at the guards, and the creature echoed him with a roar that shook the entire arena. But this time, it was not hunting. It was defending. For the first time since their capture, Marcus felt hope. They had found an ally in the most unlikely place. The aliens had made one big mistake. They had assumed the creature was mindless, that it could not form bonds or make choices. They were wrong. We need to find a way out of here, Marcus said to his family. All of us. The creature looked down at him and made a sound that might have been agreement. Then it did something that shocked everyone, including the alien scientists. It gently picked up Zoe with one massive claw and placed her on its back, between two of the spines. Rex jumped up to join her. Elena and Marcus climbed up too. The creature's scales were warm and surprisingly smooth. From their high position, they could see the entire arena. They could also see that this was much bigger than just one room. There were other arenas, other cells, other prisoners. The creature made more sounds, pointing with its claws at different parts of the ship they could see through the clear walls. I think it knows this place, Elena said. It's been here long enough to learn the layout. Marcus had an idea. If it knows the ship, it might know how to get to the control room, or the communication systems. The creature nodded again. It understood more than anyone had realized. Above them, alarms were starting to sound. The alien scientists were panicking. Their perfect predator was supposed to hunt and kill. Instead, it had made friends with its prey. This changes everything, Zoe said from her place on the creature's back. She was right. The aliens had wanted to study how the Devourer killed. Instead, they were about to learn something much more dangerous. They were going to learn how it protected those it cared about. The alarms kept ringing as the creature carried the family on its back. More alien guards were coming into the arena, but they seemed afraid to get too close. The Devourer was not acting like the mindless beast they expected. "We need a name for you," Zoe said to the creature. "I can't keep calling you the Devourer. That's what they call you, not what you are." The creature made soft sounds and gently shook its head. It did not like its prison name either. "How about Titan?" Zoe suggested. "You're big and strong, but you're also kind." The creature, Titan, made a pleased rumbling sound. It liked the new name. Elena was still thinking about how Titan had tried to communicate with them. "There has to be a way for us to understand each other better," she said. "Wait." She pulled out her tablet, which had a translation program for different alien languages. When she activated it near Titan, something unexpected happened. The tablet started glowing and making strange beeping sounds. Words began appearing on the screen. "No," Elena breathed, staring at the words. "This can't be right." "What does it say?" Marcus asked. "The translation program recognizes Titan's language," Elena said slowly. "But it's not the language of a primitive species. It's the language of the Kethmar." Marcus went pale. Even humans knew about the Kethmar. They had been one of the most advanced species in the galaxy, known for their wisdom and peaceful nature. But they had all died out centuries ago. At least, that's what everyone believed. "That's impossible," he said. "The Kethmar are extinct." Titan heard the word Kethmar and made urgent sounds. The tablet translated his words. "Not extinct. Hidden. Captured. Experimented on. I am last." The family stared at the translation in shock. Titan was not a mindless predator from a death world. He was the last member of a highly intelligent species that the aliens had supposedly helped to save. "They lied," Elena whispered. "The aliens told the galaxy that the Kethmar died from a disease, but they actually captured them for experiments." Titan nodded sadly. Through the tablet, he told them his real story. His people had been peaceful scientists and explorers. When the Zilithian Empire offered to help them fight a plague, the Kethmar had trusted them, but there was no plague. The Zilithians had captured the entire species and taken them to different research ships. They wanted to study Kethmar intelligence and their natural abilities. One by one, Titan's people had died in the experiments. "How long have you been their prisoner?" Elena asked through the tablet. 47 cycles, Titan replied. "In your time, 15 years. 15 years of torture and experiments. 15 years of being called a monster while his captors studied how he thought and felt." No wonder he had seemed angry at first. But Titan's story was not finished. Through the tablet, he explained that he had learned much during his captivity. The Zilithians thought he was too traumatized to understand what they were saying around him. They were wrong. "I know ship systems," Titan said through the translation. "I know access codes. I know where other prisoners are kept. I know how to send messages to other worlds." Marcus felt excitement building. "You've been planning an escape?" "Planning, yes, but alone, I would fail. Ship too big, too many guards. Need help." Titan looked down at the family with his 4 eyes. "Need friends." Above them, Commander Vex Hell was screaming orders. The aliens were bringing in bigger weapons and more guards. They were also doing something to the arena itself. The walls were starting to glow with energy. "They're going to flood the arena with electricity," Elena realized. "They want to knock us all out." Titan rumbled angrily. He had experienced the ship's electric weapons many times before, but now he was not going to face them alone. "Rex, get ready to jump," Zoe told her dog. She could feel Titan's muscles tensing under her. Titan suddenly leaped forward, using his powerful legs to jump 20 feet in a single bound. He landed near one of the arena walls and used his claws to tear into the metal. The aliens had made the walls strong, but they had not made them strong enough to stop a determined Kethmar. The wall tore open like paper. Behind it were conduits carrying power and data throughout the ship. Titan carefully reached in with one claw and touched specific wires. Immediately, all the lights in the arena went out. The electric weapons stopped working. In the darkness, emergency lights came on with a red glow. "How did you know which wires to cut?" Marcus asked. "Watch them repair systems many times," Titan explained through the tablet. "They think I am stupid animal. They are wrong." 1. Titan tore open more walls, revealing passages that the family could crawl through. "Service tunnels," he explained. "Guards too big to follow, but they were not going alone." In the darkness, Titan made a deep sound that carried through the entire ship. It was not a roar of anger. It was a call to others, and other voices answered. From throughout the ship came responding calls, different voices, different species, but all with the same message. They were ready to fight for their freedom. "How many other prisoners are there?" Elena asked. "Many," Titan said. "Ship has 12 test arenas. Hundreds of beings from dozens of worlds." The family climbed down from Titan's back and prepared to enter the service tunnels. But first, Marcus had a question. "Why are you trusting us?" he asked Titan. "You could escape alone now that you have damaged their systems." Titan was quiet for a moment. Then he said through the tablet, "Humans showed kindness when they could have shown fear. Female healed my wounds when she could have run. Small ones protected me when guards came with pain sticks. You treated me like person, not monster." He paused, then added, "Also, I have watched human behavior through ship's cameras. Humans make friends with many species, even ones that are different or dangerous. This gives hope." Rex barked softly and wagged his tail. Even without the translator, he understood that Titan was grateful. "All right then," Marcus said. "What's the plan?" Titan explained quickly. They would use the service tunnels to reach other parts of the ship. Titan knew the codes to open prison cells. He also knew how to access the ship's communication system to send a message for help. But most importantly, he knew where the aliens kept their records of all the experiments. Proof of what the Zilithian Empire had been doing to innocent species for decades. "We expose their crimes to the whole galaxy," Titan said. "Make sure this never happens again to anyone." As they prepared to crawl into the tunnels, alarms were ringing throughout the ship. The aliens knew their perfect research station was falling apart. "One more thing," Titan said. "When we free other prisoners, some may be frightened of me. They have only seen me when aliens forced me to hunt. They do not know I was unwilling." "We'll tell them," Zoe promised. "We'll make sure they know you're one of the good guys." Titan made a sound that might have been gratitude mixed with determination. For the first time in 15 years, he was not just trying to survive another day, he was going home. And he was taking his new friends with him. The uprising had begun. The service tunnels were dark and narrow. Marcus crawled first, followed by Elena, then Zoe with Rex. Titan had to squeeze his massive body through the passages. But he knew exactly where to go. They could hear shouting and running footsteps in the main corridors. The aliens were searching for them, but they were looking in all the wrong places. After crawling for 10 minutes, they reached a junction where several tunnels met. Titan carefully opened a panel in the wall and looked out. "Prison level 3, he whispered through the tablet. "Many friends here." Through the panel, they could see a long hallway lined with cells. Each cell held different alien creatures. Some looked like the cat people they had seen before. Others looked like walking crystals that glowed with soft light. In one cell, there was something that looked like a living cloud of silver mist. "How do we free them without the guards seeing us?" Elena asked. Titan showed them a control panel hidden behind the wall panel. "Master unlock," he explained. "Opens all cells at once, but will bring guards quickly." "Then we need to move fast," Marcus said. "What's the plan after we free them?" "Service lifts to level 1, Titan said. "Communication center there. Also, main computer with all records of experiments." Zoe had been watching the aliens in the cells. Look how scared they are, she said sadly. Some of them have been here for years. Haven't they? Yes, Titan confirmed. Some, longer than me. They have given up hope. Then it's time to give them hope back, Elena said firmly. Titan entered a long code into the hidden control panel. All along the hallway, cell doors began opening with soft clicking sounds. At first, the prisoners did not move. They thought it was a trick, but then one of the cat-like aliens stepped out carefully. When no guards appeared, others began following. The family and Titan climbed out of the service tunnel. When the freed aliens saw Titan, many of them backed away in fear. They remembered him from the arena, when the Zilithians had forced him to hunt. It's okay, Zoe called out to them. He's our friend. He's the one who freed you. Some of the aliens had translation devices. Word spread quickly that the feared devourer was actually helping them escape. A crystal being approached Titan cautiously. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes. You were the hunter. Why do you help us now? I never chose to hunt, Titan replied through his tablet. They forced me with pain and drugs. I am sorry for what I was made to do. The crystal being studied Titan for a moment, then made a sound that seemed understanding. We know of force. We know of pain. You are forgiven. Last son of the Kethmar. More aliens gathered around. They had all heard of the Kethmar's wisdom and kindness. Learning that Titan was one of them changed everything. We need to move, Marcus urged. The guards will find us soon. Titan led the growing group of freed prisoners toward the service lifts. They moved quietly through the tunnels and maintenance passages. Rex helped by listening for guards and warning them when aliens were coming. They reached the lift without being seen. It was designed to carry maintenance equipment, so it was big enough for everyone. As they rode up to level 1, the freed aliens shared their stories. Many had been taken from their homeworlds years ago. The Zilithians had told the galaxy that these species were extinct or had joined the Empire willingly. All lies. They were all prisoners, all test subjects for Zilithian science. Level 1 was different from the prison levels. Here, there were windows showing the stars outside. The freed aliens had not seen real sky for years. Some of them started crying, but they did not have time for long reunions with freedom. Alarms were ringing everywhere now. The aliens knew their prisoners had escaped. Titan led them to the communication center. The door was locked with both physical barriers and electronic codes. But Titan knew how to get past them. His years of watching had taught him much about Zilithian technology. Inside the communication center, they found banks of computers and transmission equipment. This was how the Zilithians controlled information going to and from the ship. Elena, can you work these computers? Marcus asked. I think so, Elena said, studying the alien interface. The symbols are similar to other systems I've seen. While Elena worked on accessing the communication system, Titan went to a different set of computers. These contained all the records of Zilithian experiments. Files on hundreds of species, documentation of torture and murder disguised as research. This is evidence, Marcus realized. Proof of what they've been doing. Not just this ship. Titan added grimly. Files show 12 other research vessels. Thousands of prisoners across the galaxy. Zoe was watching the freed aliens explore the room. Many of them were touching the windows, staring out at stars they thought they would never see again. We have to make sure this never happens to anyone else, she said. Elena had broken into the communication system. I've got access to the Galactic network, she announced. I can send messages to any world in known space. Send everything, Marcus told her. Send all the files, all the evidence. Send it to every government, every news organization, every rights group you can find. But Elena had an even better idea. I'm going to broadcast it on all frequencies. Everyone in this part of the galaxy will receive it at the same time. The Zilithians won't be able to stop it or cover it up. As Elena worked, the door to the communication center exploded inward. Commander Vexishal stood there, with a squad of heavily armed guards. Stop what you are doing immediately, the commander shouted. "You are interfering with classified Zilithian research." Titan moved to protect the family. But many of the other freed aliens stepped forward too. They were no longer afraid. They were angry. "Classified?" the crystal being chimed. "You mean illegal. You mean murder. You are test subjects," Commander Vexhal said coldly. "You have no rights under Zilithian law." "But we have rights under galactic law," said one of the cat-like aliens. "Laws that the Zilithian Empire signed." Rex barked and showed his teeth. He was just a dog, but he was not going to let these aliens hurt his family. Commander Vexhal raised his weapon to shoot Rex. That was a mistake. Titan roared and lunged forward. But this time, he was not alone. Every freed alien in the room attacked the guards at once. Years of anger and pain came pouring out. The guards were trained fighters, but they were not ready for desperate prisoners who had nothing left to lose. While the battle raged, Elena finished uploading all the files to the galactic network. "It's done," she shouted. "Everyone will know what they've been doing." The transmission included everything: videos of experiments, records of captured species that were supposed to be extinct, proof that the Zilithian Empire had been lying to the galaxy for decades. Within hours, the message had reached every major world. Governments that had trusted the Zilithians were demanding answers. Species that thought they were alone in the galaxy learned that their people were still alive in Zilithian prisons. Most importantly, rescue fleets from a dozen different worlds were already heading toward their location. Commander Vexhal tried to destroy the communication equipment, but it was too late. The truth was already spreading across the galaxy. "You have doomed yourselves," he snarled at the family. "The Empire will hunt you to the ends of space." "No," Titan said, standing over the fallen commander. "The Empire will be too busy explaining their crimes to hunt anyone." 3 days later, rescue ships arrived. The first to reach them was a human Colonial Defense Force vessel, followed by ships from the Altarian Republic, the Crystal Worlds, and even some former Zilithian colonies that had declared independence. The rescued prisoners were taken home to worlds they thought they would never see again. Many species that the galaxy thought were extinct were suddenly alive again. The Zilithian Empire collapsed within weeks. Other research ships were found, and their prisoners freed. Commander Vexhal and hundreds of other Zilithian officials were arrested for crimes against sentient life. But the biggest change was in how different species saw each other. The story of how a human family had befriended the last Kethmar and started a revolution spread across the galaxy. It became a symbol of how cooperation between species could overcome even the darkest cruelty. When the Morrison family was offered transport to their original destination, they made an unexpected decision. "We want Titan to come with us," Zoe announced. "He's part of our family now." Titan was quiet for a long time. Through his tablet, he finally said, "I am last of my kind. I have no home to return to." "You have a home with us," Elena told him gently. "If you want it." Rex barked in agreement and wagged his tail. He had made a new friend, and he was not going to let that friend be alone. So when the Morrison family finally reached their new colony world, they brought Titan with them. He helped Marcus build houses that were strong enough for any kind of weather. He helped Elena study the local plants and animals, and he helped Zoe and Rex explore their new world. Sometimes, late at night, Titan would look up at the stars and remember his people. But he was not alone in his grief. He had found something his people had always valued, a family that accepted him exactly as he was. The galaxy was a better place because a dog had recognized that the most feared monster in space just needed a friend. And because a human family had chosen kindness over fear. Even in their darkest moment, the story of the Morrison family, Rex, and Titan became a legend told on worlds across the galaxy. It reminded everyone that friendship could bloom in the most unlikely places, and that sometimes the greatest revolutions started with the simplest act of compassion.